Hello and welcome back to Hot to the Top. Hope you're all doing well today as we get ready for a big episode where we have games against Sion in the Swiss Super League and Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League first knockout round, second leg, where we've got to try and overturn a 4-1 deficit. It might be a bit hard. Before we get into any of that though, today we need to talk about the youth intake, which is pretty exciting. However, the youth intake this year, if we look at the youth candidates, well, it's a bit of a disappointment, this one. Cesar Aksoy is the best regen coming through this time with only 3.5-star current ability. Alfredo Gehrig is the next best with 3-star potential and everyone else is 2.5-star or worse. So it's not really the best youth intake. In fact, this is probably the worst youth intake I think we've actually had, unfortunately. That's not to say they can't develop into good players. Cesar Aksoy, for example, he's already got 12 heading, 11 marking, 16 teamwork, 14 positionings and really good physicals as well. If he reaches that 3.5-star potential, he'll be a fantastic squad player for us. So it's not like all hope is lost, it's just that it's not 5 stars for every player, is it? As per usual, if you like one of these players in particular and you want them renamed after you, then get yourself involved in the Patreon and subscribe to the certain level on there, and then you can get a regen named after you, of course. That is exactly what someone has done from last year's youth intake. Michael Fiore, if we click on him, he is going to be now known as Shane Hartman. Now, the name Hartman might sound a little bit familiar, and that is because Shane Hartman is the real-life brother of Patrick Hartman, who is currently a backup striker in our first team, who's getting the experience in and starting to play pretty well, getting a few more games under his belt. So he's doing pretty well, and hopefully Shane will be with him pretty soon on the right wing. So thank you, Shane. Very much appreciated for your donations. Right then, since you were last here for the 1-1 draw against Luzern and the 4-1 loss to PSG in the first leg of the Champions League, we have played 3 games, 2 of them against Lugano. The first one was in the Swiss Super League, and a 3-0 win gave us 3 points with Xhaka, Bottles and James Rodriguez scoring the goals in that one. We then followed up with another win against Lugano, this time in the Swiss Cup quarter-finals with Schneider and Coley picking up a brace in that particular game. And then we finished things off with a 2-0 big win over Basel. Dajaku and Alex Smith getting the goals a few minutes apart from each other, and Randy Schneider missing a penalty. Could have made it 3-0, but of course it didn't matter. We won it, and we are now 14 points clear at the top of the Swiss Super League table, ahead of Young Boys, Luzern in third, Lausanne, who are still having an incredible season, up into 4th position after their promotion, and Basel are languishing down in 5th, the champions from last season, only on 34 points. They've had a terrible season. With only 10 games to go this season, we are already guaranteed Europa League football next season. And with only 10 games to go, with a 14-point gap at the top, it can't be too long before we actually are mathematically league winners at some point soon. In other news, which is just brand new to me because I've only just seen this news article, Switzerland no longer has a team in the Europa League, which is disappointing. Obviously, that must mean Young Boys lost in their second qualifying round, which means that all of Switzerland's European hopes fall on us, grasshoppers, as we try and overturn a 4-1 deficit to Paris Saint-Germain later on in today's episode. Not sure it's going to go so well. We will talk more about European football later on in today's episode. In the meantime, we've got to get on with this Sion game, and Kalas is going to be starting in goal for us with a backline of Gauther Bajrami, a welcome comeback for Sterigi, who's come back from his injury, and Cyrus Christie starting at right back because Felipe Cruz is currently out, just come back from an injury actually, so can't really play today, but should be back maybe for the PSG game. Granit Xhaka and Lars Jacob start in midfield, just behind Bernard, Alex Smith and Billy Schmitz in that attacking midfield. And Bottles, of course, still leading the line and still scoring plenty of goals this season for us. So kickoff is upon us here today. And actually, we need to start working out when we could possibly win the league title. So right now, after this game, there'll be 9 games to go, which means there's 27 points available at the most. And then we have to sort of work it out, don't we, as to when we could have more points than points needed to catch us up, sort of thing. So it's not going to be for another few games yet, because of course we're only 14 points clear. It might not be until like 3 or 4 games to go left in the season that we might actually be able to win the title. But of course, depending on how the PSG game goes today, this has the potential to be the penultimate episode of this season, because once we clinch the title, there's no point really showing any more games. It's not like we're maybe going undefeated this season. We've lost a few games, so we're not trying to go for an invincible season or anything like that. So once we win the title, there's not really a whole lot more to play for. Course, unless we get to the Swiss Cup final, which then changes things a little bit for us. We are still in the Swiss Cup actually, and we are in the semi-finals. If we get to the final, then we have to do that on camera, of course, so that actually might mean there's 2 more episodes of this season. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Alex Smith has apparently just picked up a knock. It looks like a twisted knee, which is a little bit disappointing because he's picked up 1 or 2 little knocks recently, which has affected him a little bit, I've got to say, as Sion have come forward and scored the opening goal of the game, which isn't part of the plan, if I'm being honest with you. You hate to see that. That's not fantastic either. And Alex Smith really not feeling it, I don't think. I think we might take him off the pitch at half-time because we don't want to aggravate any injuries that he may have underlying at the moment. We want to keep him fit for the rest of the season. As again, Sion coming forward, who I've said time and time again are our bogey side. They seem to always beat us on camera. That's what it is. I don't think we've ever lost to them when they've not been on camera. So they just like to play up to the camera, basically. That's what they like to do. So Bottles on the ball right now, though. He's trying to prove it wrong. His shot was going wide anyway. The keeper makes a save to put it out for a corner. Can we score from this particular move? As Xhaka puts the ball into the middle, collected by the keeper, and is probably going to be cleared for no highlights. So despite 17 shots to 5 shots, we are 1-0 down as we approach half-time. Keeper collects the free kick which was pumped into the middle, and Sion with perhaps one final chance in this first half to score a goal and double their lead, which isn't brilliant, although the ball goes straight to Sterigu, which is good. He puts it up towards Bottles, doesn't quite reach his intended target, but Lars Jacobs on the ball shoots, and it's saved by the keeper. Should have squared it, really, be a bit less selfish than that, and it means we go into the break 1-0 down. We've got a chance, though, early in this second half with Granit Xhaka on the ball, putting it out towards Gauther. Gauther to put it in towards Bernard. Back to Gauther. Come on, lads. Work this nice, Liz. Xhaka shoots from distance, but it goes over the bar in the end. I forgot to take Alex Smith off at half-time. I will do that right now. We'll bring on Randy Schneider, who's on the bench, having a little bit of a rest for today's game. He's coming on to replace the slightly injured Alex Smith. Come on then, boys. We're going to shout demand more as well out there. I think we need to do that as they've nearly scored a second goal there. That was a good save from Kalas as he looks to get rid of the ball. We need to do something special, though. We need to really just get ourselves in the game. 21 shots, only 6 on target, though. That's not a good enough ratio as Matthew Bottles has been put forward. Come on, our number 9. Can he just get it in the middle? Kind of, but it just was in the middle of the keeper. I can't quite believe it. We are running out of time in today's game. Show some passion out there. Only 20 minutes to go and we're just not scoring goals. Bottles, off you go. You're not playing well. Bernard, off you go, and we'll bring Dajaku on for you on that right-hand side. We need to do something out there. Let's go very attacking. How have we not scored in today's game? I mean, 28 shots to their 6 shots, and yet they're winning. We are being properly FM'd here today. We've not had it for a long time where we've been properly FM'd, but this is one of those occasions. 33 shots now to their 7 shots, and yet we're still losing. It happens to everyone once in a while, and Coley can't quite get on the end of the ball there either. It goes out for a corner. Come on, boys. Let's at least grab an equaliser from the corner. Xhaka into the middle, collected by the keeper again. And I think that is how this is going to end. It's not the best preparation at all for when we play PSG. And my plan was to use, well, the same formation as we're using right now, because when we went for that defensive formation against PSG at home, it just did not work whatsoever. So I felt like we had to go for this formation instead. Coley rescued a draw right at the end there. His 14th of the season. It's not quite as bad now, but still, we should have scored plenty more goals with 35 shots. So many more goals we should have scored. At least we didn't lose. Temporarily, we extend our lead to 15 points then, but Young Boys are still to play. So actually, the gap could drop down to only 12 points. Just need to make sure that we rest the players as well, because we've only got 2 days off before the PSG game, you see. So I want to make sure they get a good day of rest before a little bit of training and preparation before the big game against PSG, where we've got, I mean, I've got to say, quite a big game coming up, and it's quite a big scoreline. Alex Smith, I missed how long he's out injured for. He's out injured for 5 to 7 days, so he is going to miss the PSG game, which is really annoying. And also, I feel like Schneider's suspended for it, I think. I feel like he's suspended, so it's a little bit frustrating. It's not Randy Schneider who's suspended, it's Lars Jacobs who's suspended, which is kind of better, maybe, a little bit. He's going to come on the pitch for Lars Jacobs, then he's got to come off the whole bench because he obviously can't play. Alex Smith currently injured, so we're going to bring on James Rodriguez for him in that attacking playmaker role. Cyrus Christie is unregistered, so Felipe Cruz, who is suspended, can't play, which means that what we have to do in this situation then is bring on Pierre-Alexander Breton, who is our young right back, who really shouldn't be playing against PSG ever, and yet is finding himself starting today. As for the rest of the lineup, though, I'm pretty happy with it. It's probably the best we can possibly make it. So that is the lineup. That's what we've got to go for. Come on, boys. So then kickoff is upon us here today in Paris. Of course, we are 4-1 down on aggregate, so there's no point going for a sitting back defensive formation. We have to go out on the attack. We've got to score a lot of goals here today. As Gauther plays it in towards Granit Xhaka early on. Bernard nearly loses possession but keeps hold of it. James Rodriguez's ball up forward isn't brilliant, to be fair, and they clear it out from the back a little bit. Oh, Bottles, if only his header was slightly more accurate, that would have been an early goal for us there, and a big defensive mistake there. PSG are looking nervous, and you hate to see it. Our only right back who is available to us right now is now injured. There is genuinely no one else who can play right back. No one else. Florian Wirtz is probably the best player to put in that position. Augusto. Surely Augusto can do... Augusto might be able to fill in there a little bit. That's the best option we've got. So already, it's not off to a great start here today, unfortunately. Augusto, please, just hold your ground, do your job, and we'll be fine. Obviously, it's not ideal, but 30 minutes in, we are still 0-0 with PSG away from home. So, as far as I see it, we're still in the game. The downside to this is we now have got to score 4 goals in 45 minutes if we want to have a chance of progressing, unfortunately. But anyway, it's a decent first half. No highlights whatsoever apart from that chance from Matthew Bottles. Second half, I believe it. I believe we can do it. I mean, the clock's ticking down. It just means we've got less time to score the goals that we need to score. Bottles, again, not playing well. Bernard's playing terribly, so Dajic can come on for him. Billy Schmitz can come off for Coley. That's what we'll do. That's all the changes we can make now, actually, isn't it? That's all the changes we can make. They're the changes. Bernard off, Dajic on, Coley on, Schmitz off. And now we've got 20 minutes to score 4 goals. I mean, I'd like to see a highlight. Just one highlight would be quite nice, as anything will be entertaining at this point. I mean, it's handy. Oh, here we go. Finally, a highlight. Brilliant. Right, PSG on the ball, trying to build out from the back. And they're looking pretty strong. The ball up towards Neymar is a pretty good ball. Neymar shoots Kalas with a good save. Now, boys, let's get on the counter-attack and score the first of the 4 goals that we need to score. Or not. 5 minutes to do it in now. Okay, we can still maybe get a ball. Okay, PSG have scored. It now means we have to score 6, or no, 5 goals, isn't it? 5 goals we've got to score now in 5 minutes, which is possible. It's possible, isn't it, boys? Let's go very attacking. Ooh, okay, or not, Maybe we won't. What I will say is, going defensive in that first leg, that could have been our downfall. We've only lost 1-0. What I will say is, perhaps going defensive in the first leg was our downfall. You know, we've only lost 1-0 here today, going quite attacking, very attacking, I've got to say. Whereas when we went defensive, we conceded 4 goals, didn't we, or something stupid like that. So maybe going offensive is the best form of defence. At least it wasn't as bad as the 10-2 on aggregate we lost to Barcelona last season. That is slightly better than that, isn't it? And also £8 million does sort of cushion the blow a little bit, I've got to say. What this does guarantee, though, is that we are going to be slipping down from 5th in the European club coefficient, behind France next season, definitely. We're on 60 points, so we're not going to drop down any further than 6th place. So we're not going to be overtaken by Russia or Turkey or Portugal anytime soon. But France, miles ahead of us this season in terms of European performance. So they'll go back ahead of us. What that means is we will have slightly less preferential qualification places for next season. We've still got 6 teams qualifying, or that's what's available, 6 teams available to qualify, but we'll just have less preferential treatment in how they qualify for European competition. So, I mean, it's not too bad, really. It's not like the end of the world, but we would have liked to have seen better results. So next episode, we're going to play it by ear just a little bit on the grounds that I don't actually know when it's going to be. We'll probably end up doing the Servette game or Young Boys game in the Swiss Cup semi-final when that comes around. But obviously, we're going to be winning the league title at some point around this period, I would imagine. So we'll play it by ear and see how it goes until then. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching today's video. Slightly disappointing with the loss to PSG, but kind of to be expected, I suppose. Next season, we go again in Europe and fingers crossed do a little bit better. So thank you very much for watching today's episode. Hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have done, please do drop a like on the video for me and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And I will see you next time for some more Hop to the Top. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.